I think you'll find it's true whether you're talking about a dating relationship, a job application, someone running for office, or even just the news media. There's one core value that seems to be truly desired, even if not verbalized, across all core values. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast, 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. The core value I want to talk about today is integrity. It's the ability to be honest about what you say and what you do and what you mean. And when all three of those actually come together to be the same thing, that what you do is what you say, and what you say is what you do. And that you actually mean what you say and what you do. You're not just saying something because it's expedient for the moment. There are a lot of things that are happening in our world today that ultimately we find out that behind the story, and behind that story, there's another story. Because one of those stories is politically expedient for the moment, and another one of those stories was politically expedient when it was told, but the real truth, the real activity, the real behavior behind it is something entirely different. Someone may have a particular political face or behavioral face in front of their family, different from what they have in the public, different from what they have with one group of friends or another group of friends. I shared a video this morning from Steve Harvey, and a young man in his audience stood up and said, "Hey, I have a problem in my relationships," and he said, I got my girl right here. My girl, she's my girl right now. She's my rock. But sometimes I've had relationships in the past that went bad because I clicked like on other girls' pictures. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not a hard one to figure out why you're having a hard time with relationships if you can't keep your eyes for the one that's with you. If your eye is constantly drawn away for somebody else, you don't have any personal integrity. You can't decide what it is you want, so you can't commit to that. Now, Steve's advice to him was to be chivalrous, to be a little more old-fashioned, to realize that there's a reason love has been around for a long, long time, and that is that the way that we treat each other with integrity, with class, with dignity, with style, it never goes out of style. And I have to agree with that because I'm a little old-fashioned like Steve is. I believe in opening the door for my wife. I believe in admitting when I've made a mistake and walked off and left her door closed, or not gotten there in time to open her door, or in some other way not treated her like the queen that I believe she is. That's integrity. But see, if I just tell you that and I don't do that, that's a lack of integrity. If I tell you that I treat my wife like a queen and I make it a show in public to treat my wife like a queen, and then I come home and I yell at her, that's not integrity. So if you're living a life like that, where you talk about how great you are at work, about all the intelligence that you have, about all the education that you have, about all the accomplishments you have, and yet at work you're not living up to that. If you're different in public than you are when you're by yourself, you have no integrity. If you want to have the core value of integrity in your life, it means doing things that you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, be there at that time. And if you think there's any chance that something's going to delay you, leave earlier. Plan to be there earlier than you said you would be there, so that even if you're held up, you'll be on time, not late. I worked with a guy not too long ago, and he said, look, there's no such thing as late. There's either on time, which means you're a little bit earlier than you promised that you'd be here. There's should have been here already, which is the time that you said you were going to be here, and don't even bother coming, which is after the time that you said you're going to be here. I don't accept late. So you can be here at a proper time, which is before you said. You can be here when you should have been here earlier, or you can not come at all. But I don't accept late. If your integrity says I'm going to be there at 8 a.m., you should be there by 7:50 at the latest, so that you can be early. That's not hard stuff, right? Of course, things happen. That's when a phone call is warranted, or at minimum a text is warranted to say, hey, I'm on my way, I'm running a little bit late, it looks like my new time is going to be X. Is that acceptable? If you don't have the consideration, the respect for the person that you're meeting to at least do that, You don't have the self-respect necessary to have integrity. You don't care about your own reputation. You don't care about how people view you enough to say that you have integrity. But if you have integrity, do what you say you're going to do. Don't make promises that you don't intend to keep. Don't make promises that you can't keep, because all of those lead to a lack of integrity. But what really happens when your integrity is broken or not valued at all, when integrity is not a core value, the opposite of integrity is called corruption. Yeah, lying, deceiving, manipulating, cheating, all of those happen when you have no integrity. When you have integrity and someone tries to bribe you, integrity says, no, I'm not doing that. I told the client or I told the people I was going to do this for this price. Giving me extra money doesn't make me do anything differently. I made a commitment and I'm sticking to it. That's integrity. Letting someone know when someone attempts to bribe you, that's integrity. Receiving the bribe, that's corruption. You follow me? See, if you have integrity, corruption isn't a problem. If you don't have integrity, corruption is bait to lead you astray to do something you should have never done. And eventually, maybe not in the next couple of years or even in the next decade, but eventually corruption will catch up with you. Just ask Jeffrey Epstein. If you live a life of corruption, if you live a life of a lack of integrity, cheating and manipulating other people, it will catch up with you. That's a promise. It's like gravity. There's always a price to be paid. Whatever seeds you plant, you're going to harvest them. And if the fruit of your life is corruption, you're going to harvest corruption. Other people will cheat you. Other people will lie to you. Other people will manipulate you. If you plant seeds of integrity, you'll find that the people who gather around you also have integrity, because it's unlikely that someone who's corrupt will hang around with someone with high integrity because they know they'll be exposed. If you want to build a strong life of leadership, if you want to live a life of significance, you've got to have the core value of integrity in your life. And that is a you and you deal. It's your choice, takes your commitment, requires your decisions, and your commitment to stick to those decisions. That's integrity. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.